From afternoon tea in the UK to morning coffee in the US, welcome to Foodies Across the Pond with Jane Raven and Lisa Siegel. Good morning, Jane.
Hello.
Coffee?
Good evening, Lisa.
I'm so excited for today's episode featuring, drumroll. Oh, I just shook my computer. Linda from Love from New Zealand. So excited to share this interview. She is fascinating. She is an American living in New Zealand, and she sources all these beautiful local products from New Zealand. And like I touched on a little bit last week, one of them is Manuka honey. One of the things I learned was proper pronunciation. I've always called it Manuka.
I have as well.
Yep. It's a Maori
Manuka.
word. It's a Maori word, and it's pronounced Manuka. So just a little info.
Do we know what the Manuka means in Maori?
It's the plant.
It's the actual plant.
It's the actual plant. It's the actual plant. So it was.
She's probably going to explain that in the video, isn't she?
All in the video, but it's fascinating to learn all about exactly what Manuka honey is, all the health benefits, how it's produced, and it's really clever as how they encourage the bees to go to the Manuka plants. It's fabulous. So that's one of the products. And Heilala vanilla is another one. And so we learned about that. So I'm so excited to share.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to share. And then for everyone watching, we've got links below to Love from New Zealand's website. If you want more information about her products, you'll find everything on her website. You can sign up for her email list. Again, like to find out all the latest and greatest, because she's always looking for new products as well. And she has some really fun, she previews some fun new products as well that are coming up. So super excited.
Really?
Yeah.
What, that I don't know about yet?
No.
Oh, I do know.
You know a little bit, I think. So without further ado,
I'm really excited.
Here's Linda. Hey, Linda. Welcome. Hi. I'm here with Linda from Love from New Zealand. I am so excited to chat with you today about all things New Zealand and your story and all your amazing products. I have to tell you that I need to stop digging into that Manuka honey, because I can literally eat the entire container with a spoon with nothing on it. Like literally just with a spoon. It is that good.
Well, the good news is it's very healthy, so it's good for you too. Maybe not the whole container in one sitting.
Probably not, but it is so good, so good. So tell me, so what is your story? How did you get to New Zealand? How did you start your company? Let's start there.
Okay, well, my story is kind of interesting because I ended up in New Zealand because I met a Kiwi guy. So basically, I went to a wedding in 2003. A friend of mine was getting married in New Zealand, so I came over for the wedding and I met my husband there. So if you fast forward 6 years of a long distance relationship, basically no savings because everything was going to airfare. And then in 2010, we got married. So I moved over here in October of 2010 and wasn't able to work right away because I wasn't a resident and hadn't lived here. So I started making cupcakes here. And that's where I discovered some of the brands that I work with now, just by basically being a customer. Because my background in America was working with, I worked in the consumer products. I worked for Mattel for 14 years. And so I pretty much called on just about every customer, from Walmart to Amazon to Costco, Fred Meyer. Just started thinking, well, these products are so amazing. What if I can use some of my experience and network to help get these products into the USA, into retailers? So my first company started out working directly with the retailers and getting products into distribution. So that's sort of my evolution. And then Love from New Zealand sort of evolved from COVID, basically.
So did you start with the Manuka or did you start with the vanilla?
I actually started with Heilala Vanilla.
Okay.
So Heilala Vanilla, that was my first company. And I basically was using their products in my cupcakes. And I approached them to see if they were interested in getting into the US. And I had a trip planned and met with one of the retailers on that trip. And we got into their 12 stores, basically from that meeting. So from there, I continued to work with Heilala. And then from Heilala, I sort of thought, hey, this model really does work. It would be more advantageous for me to represent other lines as well, because I'm making the trip to America. At that point, I was making the trip to America every 3 months. So I was I was on the road a lot. So I really, it was great because I could see the product in stores. I was really developing a strong network of chef friends and great. I work with a fabulous nonprofit called CCAP and was able to get involved in some of their programs. And it sort of just blossomed, like everything, the formula worked. And I was like, this is so fantastic. And so, yeah, I was traveling every 3 months.
Now, tell me more about Heilala vanilla. So now how do they produce? How do they grow the vanilla? What makes it taste different than other brands of vanilla, like Madagascar is such a popular one?
Basically, it's grown in Tonga. Should I show the product?
Yes, absolutely. Show it.
I always have stuff. I have props.
I love props.
I'm always just showing this like, it started in 2002. Basically, it started, and that's actually the one common thread with all the products that I really kind of look for is, first of all, it has to be the best in its category. I realize there's a lot of competition, and there is no real value in bringing a product all the way from New Zealand to America if it doesn't have a point of difference, and if it's really not premium and best in class. Right. So when I discovered Heilala, I thought this stuff is phenomenal, and it's the story matches the quality of the product, and that's been something that I've always been really interested in connecting because of the effort to get products to America.
In 2002, a hurricane hit the Kingdom of Tonga, a chain of islands in the South Pacific near Fiji. After helping the locals recover from the devastation, my family was gifted the lease on a plot of land. To provide employment for the local community, my father John Ross, a retired farmer, set out to create a plan for using the island's fertile land and rich resources. After planting his first crop and harvesting 99 pounds 3 years later, I took on the mission of finding a market for the vanilla beans, and that's how Heilala was born. Since then, our pure vanilla products have been used by pastry chefs and home bakers all around the globe, and Heilala has become the world's most awarded vanilla.
So their paste, which is signature, this is the one.
I was going to ask you about the paste because I've never seen vanilla paste before.
There are some. They don't put. I think sugar is not even. A lot of vanilla pastes have the second ingredient sugar.
Oh, that's not good.
This is like it's like 5%, so it's very little sugar. If you're counting out sugar completely, their powder is amazing. It's just ground vanilla beans. It's nothing else. So there's nothing. It's basically just their beautiful vanilla beans grounded and put in a jar, and no sugar, no alcohol. It's a very pure product. So basically, they have a full range of extracts and vanilla powder and paste, and just really fabulous products. And that's sort of how I fell into that.
I love it. So tell me about the Manuka, because I am a huge fan of the Manuka, as I already talked about when we started chatting. It's so good.
Well, and I learned just recently it's Manuka pronunciation. I just learned that.
Okay, everyone watching, Manuka, not
Manuka.
Manuka.
So, yeah, and I seriously just learned this after 4 or 5 years. I heard it, but you know how it takes a while for you, and because I go back and forth to America all the time, I just always called it Manuka, Manuka, Manuka. And I was listening to something recently and I heard him say Manuka, and I thought, I've been saying it wrong this whole entire time.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why that's one of the great things that the reason why we're doing this show is to educate people, but also it's an education for ourselves too. Like, I just learned that. I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's a Maori word. This stuff is great. And it's all, obviously, it's just the bees. it's basically such a pure product.
So what
So-
makes Manuka
Manuka,
different from regular honey? What is it?
it's the Manuka bush or flower.
Okay.
So it's only grown in New Zealand. It's that's kind of the point of difference. Whereas there's a lot of local honeys, there's clover and orange blossom and things like that available. Manuka can only be found in New Zealand, and then there are parts of Australia. There's a whole thing there, but Manuka is a Maori word, so it is actually founded here in New Zealand, and basically it's from the Manuka bush and the bees. Three Peaks, which is the company's honey that I work with, they basically fly the beehives into it's kind of like a national park area in Tongariro. And it's this amazing spot, and they drop the beehives there. And the reason they do that is there is Manuka bush planted there. So bees are kind of like us in a way. They want to eat their dessert, and so they love the flowers. They love the orange blossoms or the other things. And this is how I think of things. Manuka is more like their vegetables. So they put the beehives in an area where they have to eat from the Manuka bush. And bees only fly approximately 5 kilometers. So basically, they're not going to go much further than 5 kilometers. And if all they have to choose from is the Manuka bush, it's not going to be a mixed blend of honey. So that's where the purity comes from. And that's how, in terms of getting the really high UMFs, which is the unique Manuka factor, the higher the UMF, the better, the more concentrated all the antibacterial and antimicrobials are.
Gotcha.
So there's basically 5 plus, 10 plus, 15. But some people find that it aids in digestion. I was talking to a woman who said she takes a spoonful every night before she goes to bed, and her stomach was always bothering her prior to her discovering Manuka. And then it just totally calmed her stomach down.
Oh my gosh.
And I've heard it helps people sleep. It can help with your gum health on your teeth.
I've heard this too. Yeah.
It can wound care.
Wound?
If you've got a cut or a scratch, the higher UMFs can actually heal. A lot of hospitals use medical grade Manuka for actually dressing wounds and things like that. So it is fascinating, and it's just the bees. I want to make sure that when you buy Manuka that it's tested. And that's why the UMF, which it's on every jar, it's so important, because that's telling you that a third party has actually tested this, and what you're getting in the jar is what it says. It's either this or higher. So sometimes what happens is if a product is a 17, we don't really sell a 17, you might get a stronger product in, but it's at least a 15 plus.
Gotcha.
So it would never be lower than a 15 plus in any of the products. Or if it says 20, we do sell 20 and things like that. So it will always be that or greater, because it has to be tested here before it leaves. And if it doesn't meet that standard, it doesn't leave.
That's so good to know, though. That's so good to know. I think that's another important thing, is to know where your food comes from, and to know that the quality is exactly what you're paying for, and you want to make sure that that quality is intact, and that you're not paying for something that is a lower quality. That's so important.
Yeah. There's a lot of different rating systems. So when somebody buys a UMF 15 plus, they may see something on the shelf that's a 300 MGO, and they think, oh, the 300 MGO is way stronger than a UMF 15. But they're different ratings. So I've got something that shows if you get a UMF 10, what the MGO is, because you can pay a lot thinking, oh, I'm getting a higher number because the number's higher,
right?
But they don't translate. So it's really something that and I'm always happy to share this information, I don't have it committed to memory, but just the 10 plus, what that equates to in an MGO. And so they're just the different ratings, because I would say it's a very confusing category. If you go to a store and you see a lot, or even if you go online and see a lot of different products, because of the different rating, they all are getting there and they're all relevant in their ratings,
Right.
but it's not apples to apples. So you just want to say, if I get a 10 plus and I buy this, I'm not paying more for a UMS 50 because I think it's higher than a 10 plus.
Right.
Because it's not. Yeah.
Maybe we can put a link down below that would explain the ratings for everyone watching. That would be really cool. That way they could just click the link below.
Yep.
And it would explain the ratings, because I know that that's an important thing to know. Maybe you'll dispel the myth. But I have heard that Manuka, when it's cooked, loses some of the health benefits. So it's not something you want to put in tea. It's not something you want to bake with. You want to use it in its raw state.
You do. It deteriorates the hotter. Like if you're cooking in the oven or something. So you can still, a lot of people still use it for the flavor. Like there's nothing more beautiful than like a Manuka salmon basted, like, and it's still good. Like it's, you know, it's still all natural, but it does lessens the potency. So now if you put it in a warm cup of tea, that's fine. Like you just boiling hot, it would start you know, getting a little bit less. But if you just, because a lot of people still put it in a warm cup of tea. I think the higher the UMF, you do just use it like a 20 plus. People still definitely use it in teas and things like that. And again, it does help, but it wouldn't hurt to just like take a spoonful of the 20 plus. And that's just, I mean, it's stronger in flavor. So you're not going to just sit there and eat a jar of 20 plus.
Or put some on some toast, or drizzle on some granola would be probably really delicious. Like there's lots of wonderful ways you can use it raw.
In yogurt, yogurt, you can just throw it in yogurt, and then you've got all those good, you know.
Over ice cream.
I know, exactly. Yep, absolutely. I have a multi-floral blend, which is it's beautiful. It's more of a foodie honey. So I would say this is more for wellness, and then the other one's more for like cheese and crackers or a healthy toasts or anything. I've even made granolas that I put in the oven. So there's always something to substitute. Another interesting thing about honey is honey never expires.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Yeah. So honey is an all-natural product that doesn't expire. So I was in fact talking to someone where it would be not a bad idea to put it in an emergency kit because of all the benefits. It's, you know, it's good for wound care. It doesn't expire, so you're not always swapping stuff out. It's healthy. So if you just had to have some instant energy, gosh, that would be the perfect thing. You're putting together your emergency kit and you've got your bottled water, got your Manuka honey, and it doesn't have to be like swapped out again.
I love that idea. I'm gonna have to go put that in our emergency kit.
Yeah.
Do you keep it at a certain temperature though?
No, it's just a pantry or dark. So chances are wherever you're keeping that is the right one. It doesn't have to, you know, the colder the temperature, it's obviously going to get more solid. So honey is, you know, sort of like a coconut oil in that respect, where if it's really cold, it'll get more solid. If it's in a really cold, like dark area, it's kind of an interesting little.
I love that. And I know that you've got some new products that you're looking to carry too. Do you want to give a little information about them?
Yes, well, I do have I'll throw this one up here because the Pix peanut butter, this I'm carrying, and I've worked with Pix for a long time, and it's just a fabulous, like uncomparable peanut butter. It's made with Heilala peanuts, fresh roasted, just a tiny bit of salt, and it's just, find out where your jar of peanuts were grown because they have a QR code.
Oh, so, that's the coolest thing. Yes. Tracking your food.
Yes. So, I mean, that's the beauty about the companies. And New Zealand is it's such a foodie country in that everything is either done here or it's the companies that I've worked with, there's a complete transparency, which just hot off the press is this company called Little Beauties.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Which are dried gold kiwi fruits dipped in fair trade dark chocolate.
If I could read through Could you just pass me some? Wouldn't that be the magic of YouTube? Just pass me some, and then I like pull it out this way.
And they've got a whole range of feijoa and raspberries. And I want to get the feijoas on there because I have so many people that want to try feijoas.
Now, tell me what a feijoa is.
It's a fruit. Oh, I tell you, I'm like, this is a feijoa.
Oh, I can look at you with your props. I love it. Oh, look how cute that is.
I'm sitting here next to my fruit thing, and I'm like, I just happen to have one.
I love it.
And but basically, they are little. I think they're in the guava family, but they're just these delicious little things that you cut in half and then you scoop them out.
Now, are there any other new products you want to share? Any other?
I'm just trying to think. Right now, there's a couple that are in the talking stage.
Okay. You need to come back on when
I do, because I have something that's going to be really exciting. I'll do a little teaser. It's something that people will use just about every day.
This has been so wonderful. I loved having you on Foodies Across the Pond. And for everyone watching, this is Linda from Love from New Zealand. All the links of what we were talking about are below. Link to Linda's website. If you want to be in the know, head to her website. You can sign up for her newsletter and her email list. All of her products are there, current products and future products.
Coming soon.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for joining. It's been so much fun chatting with you today.
Thank you. This has been great.
Awesome. Well, I will see you again next time.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.
I think that was really impressive.
Isn't that though? I mean, I learned so much about between the bees and the vanilla. I love learning about all the health benefits.
Mm.
And
Which
also,
I sort of knew about, but I didn't understand before. So that was really enlightening. And thank you for that. Really appreciate that. I feel like I could do a quiz now.
my pleasure. She was so much fun. We literally could have talked for hours. I love her whole story behind, why she created Love from New Zealand. I think it's so important too to highlight the small products and how amazing small products are and small companies are and locally sourced.
Yeah,
I think it's just brilliant.
Absolutely.
Really
Absolutely. Do. Well, I'm all for that, being a food producer.
Exactly.
And thank you for everybody that supports Myrtles, because without them we wouldn't exist. So yes, always support your small business owner. That's what I say.
Exactly. So is it time to move on to the kitchen and cook up
It might be
the delicious food we just saw highlighted from Linda?
Yeah, that sounds really good fun. I'm looking forward to this bit.
I'll meet you in the kitchen. Love from New Zealand. Now we know how to pronounce it. Manuka honey.
Manuka.
And some of that gorgeous Heilala vanilla.
I know. Have you ever been to New Zealand?
I have not.
No, nor me. I've not been to Australia or New Zealand. Two places I'd really like to visit, actually. Really good.
It's definitely
on the bucket list.
Definitely on the list. I'm a little worried about the very long flight, but I'll get over it.
Is it? But it would be quicker for you than me.
I think it's a 22-hour flight or 21-hour flight. It's
mad, isn't it?
Yeah. But like Linda was saying, like if you want to celebrate a birthday or a social occasion, you can fly, be in New Zealand, celebrate, and then catch the flight back to the States and land and celebrate.
You're in the same time zone or something. Yeah.
So
yeah, mad. I can't get my head around that. Have you ever been, when you've come to London, we'll come to the point in a minute, have you been to Greenwich when you've come to London?
No.
Oh, Greenwich is amazing.
I need to do that next time.
Go to Greenwich. It's sort of, you catch the ferry down to Greenwich and there's the Cutty Sark, brilliant cafe down inside the boat of the Cutty Sark. And then you walk through the park, there's the National Maritime Museum, and you walk up the hill to an observatory and there's all the information about Greenwich Mean Time and how they created this grid of time. It's really interesting. Recommended for anybody that is planning to visit London.
My dad used to drink Cutty Sark whiskey. There was a Cutty Sark.
Yeah, Cutty Sark.
Yeah. Okay, next time.
Yeah, completely off on a tangent. Nothing to do with honey.
Love it. Well, it's honey because it's a sweet thing to do when you're in London.
Oh, boom, boom.
Boom. Bad.
She's red hot and on it. You can tell she's just got up. I'm ready for bed. And this is a really traditional Scottish dish. So hence we're using New Zealand honey. But it's it's a really traditional dish. It's called Cranachan. But it's only spelt with one C. But I'm doing a raspberry and honey Cranachan. And it's very quick, very easy to make, makes an impact, I think, for, for a picnic or for no, not so much a picnic, barbecue, for a dessert for a barbecue or dinner party would be lovely. Ooh. And you can even take your ingredients to the table and people can build their own Cranachan if they want, because they could potentially layer it in a glass and put what they want in if you want to. I chuck it all in together and just eat it.
Okay, so tell us, because I feel like Cranachan is similar to like a crumble. Is it similar to a crumble a little bit?
No.
Really? Tell us.
Was I subtle enough?
I love it.
It's got oats in it, and you can put oats in the crumble mix, but yeah. And originally, I don't think it had fruit in. Originally, and I'm saying originally a lot, it was a breakfast dish in Scotland. And it sort of became elevated and became quite a posh sort of dish. Ooh. And is now sort of like one of the queen of puddings for Scotland.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so tell us.
Okay. So ahead of time, ahead of schedule, so you can actually prep a lot of this before you need it. I've broken this down into servings because there's only so much I can eat. So, I've broken it down to 50 grams. Can you see that? I need to tilt you over a bit. Not very well. Where's my camera? There it is. So I've toasted those oats. Okay. I dry toasted them. You can see my pan on the oven at the back here. You can do them in the oven, but you've got to keep an eye on them because they will burn if you're not careful. So just toast the oats and put them to cool. And then just gently whip your cream. You need about 70 mils of double cream and just whip it to soft peak consistency. To that, Manuka. So this, I don't know, I'm having less of a sweet tooth as I get older, actually. But this is the Manuka honey. Look at that. It's so glossy. It's really malty, isn't it?
Oh, it's so
delicious.
It's so gorgeous.
So I am going to put a heaped teaspoon into that cream. And then what I'm going to do is actually drizzle a bit on the top for a bit of ponciness. And then to that, I'm not sure if I've told you about this already. I'm going to put some Scottish whiskey in, malt whiskey.
Well, so of course it has to have whiskey.
Yeah, right? And don't pick a whiskey that's too peaty or too hefty because it'll overwhelm it. But this is called, I don't know if you can read that because it might be back to front, sheep dip.
Yeah, no, sheep dip. I absolutely can read it. Yeah, I can absolutely. I love the little bottle. That's perfect.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I'm mean. No, I'm not. It's just I didn't need that much. And I wasn't sure if it would work. So I wanted to sample it first. Right. But apparently, and I wasn't sure about the name, but I know I've told you this story, but I'll tell everybody else. Now, I'm very gullible. So I've been told this story and I'm repeating it in the hope that it was true.
Probable.
Apparently, when they had their naughty stills, they were making illegal whiskey in Scotland. When the what's the word for the? I struggled with this word when I was telling you the story. The tax man. It'll come back to me. But when the officials came to visit, they would hide the whiskey underneath the sheep dip. Nearly swore then. That was close. And underneath the sheep dip tanks. Say that in a hurry if you can. So yeah, that's why it's called sheep dip. So into your cream and honey mixture, you just, oh, that sounded quite posh then, put in 2 teaspoons full of your honey and just give it a mix. And once you've mixed it in, I've had this whisk forever. I had this whisk when I was a teenager. That's a long time ago.
I love that.
So you've got a really nice,
so yummy. Oh, I want some right now.
and then you put in your oats.
Okay.
And give it a whisk. So it's nice. Now, the longer this stands, the thicker it will become. And that's why I said it's quite nice to actually take it to the table and prepare it at the table, or do it just before, because it might be my personal taste, but I don't like it when the oats are soaking everything up too much, because it becomes a bit cloggy. So there we go. You can see that's nice soft peak stage.
Oh, gorgeous. I would love some right now.
It smells good. It smells good. To this, sorry for leaning across.
Oh,
70 grams of raspberries. I'm going to keep a couple of the nicer ones to go on the top. I would have kept some of the oats, but I forgot.
Okay.
And then just press them lightly so the juices start oozing. Don't pulverize them, just press them.
Oh.
So can you see that? So they're still keeping their shape, but you've just released the juices. And what I'm going to do is just take a whisk out for starters. And I'm just going to add those raspberries into the bowl. Oh
my gosh.
That does smell nice. And it's a bit like, have you ever heard of eaten mess? Do you have eaten mess?
I was gonna say, it seems like an eaten mess or a fool. Isn't there like a...
It looks a bit grotty. That's why some people do like to layer it in a dish with the oats, the cream, the raspberries.
Right.
And that would look nice in a whiskey tumbler, layered. I'm going to put my trusty glass.
Really pretty. And you could probably make it ahead of time and put it in your fridge and then serve it for dessert when...
You could. It's just that those oats start soaking up the moisture, and it just becomes a bit thick. But some people like that. I mean, it's just personal taste on my part, I think. And then on the top, just a few raspberries. I'll come up and show you.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
And then what I'm going to do is just take a bit more of our lovely Manuka honey and drizzle it like that over the top. I'll show you in a sec. Now, normally it would be heather honey from Scotland, but we're breaking the rules, and I'm sure they'll allow it.
Whoa. Oh, Jane, that looks divine. That looks so good. Could you pass one to me through the screen, please? That would be nice.
It's so easy. I mean, it really is so easy and so delicious as well.
That looks amazing. And the recipe, recipe below.
Recipe below.
Yeah,
and hints and tips are below as well. Exactly. Anything else you want to know, email me.
So good.
Message below.
Exactly.
And don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely imperative that you do that.
Exactly. It is. If you want tasty goodies like this and recipes, you need to subscribe. Yeah. Okay, so you made that deliciousness. I have something that I've concocted with the Manuka honey, and I've combined it with the Heilala vanilla. I'm making a vanilla scones. And then for the glaze, normally I do a maple glaze. I'm doing a honey glaze.
You could have put a bit of the vanilla into the cream, actually, for that. I forgot.
That would be so good.
That would be nice as well.
That would be, oh my gosh. And the vanilla is so, and the taste a little bit goes a long way.
It does, doesn't it? It's really intense. It's quite runny, so be careful when you open the pot. But yeah, you can't beat vanilla, can you? Such a lovely thing.
That's good flavor. So I will segue, and you can watch me make my scones right there.
Well, cooking with some Love from New Zealand products always makes me super happy.
And look, I've turned up again. People are going to think I've got no legs because I never get off my chair. I'm constantly watching you cook.
Today, this is what I'm using, the Manuka honey, and I'm doing the multi-floral blend, which is amazing. And like we've talked about, it's not very sweet. It's this really wonderful kind of malty flavor.
It's gorgeous.
Amazing. And
I love the texture of it, and it's not too granular. It's lovely.
Gorgeous. Here, shall I show everybody what it looks like? Here, let me grab a spoon.
Do.
Because it really is. It's beautiful. It's smooth, and you can literally eat it with a spoon, which I think is actually a good thing to do. So look at how gorgeous. It's just
beautiful. It's
gorgeous. And I also have the Heilala vanilla paste. It's the pure vanilla paste, which, oh my gosh, look at all. This is how mine. And then look at the little vanilla beads.
You can see the
You can see them. You can see the little beads in there, which is so much easier than cutting open a vanilla bean and scraping all the beads out. It's
just a good standby to have in the fridge, isn't it?
It really is. I did a cardamom vanilla bean scone, which so good. My kitchen, you even know, it smells so. I wish it'd smell-o-vision. Let us go. I will show you how I made the cardamom vanilla bean scones, and I'm doing a Manuka honey glaze on top.
I started by combining all my dry ingredients into my food processor, pulsing them a couple times, and then adding the butter, which I then also pulsed to make a dough. I turned the dough out onto a lightly floured cutting board. Look at all the beautiful vanilla beans that you can see. I formed the dough into a nice circle, and then again, admired the vanilla beans. And I used my favorite tool, my bench scraper, to cut the dough into wedges, which I then placed on an ungreased baking sheet, baked in the oven until they were a lovely golden brown.
Here's what they look like. Can you see how gorgeous? You can see the little.
Up so we can see the top.
There we go. Lightly golden brown, which is what you want them. And because all those little layers with the butter, and that's what you get when you don't overmix your dough, you get light, fluffy scones or scones. And I glazed half of them. My daughter already came in and stole one. But here's the glaze. I like to put the glaze on when it's warm. So it just kind of, and it's a nice consistency, but you can also change the consistency based on how you like. That's what's so great about a glaze. So this is what I did. I just put a couple spoonfuls of powdered sugar, confectioner sugar, a good big spoonful of Manuka honey, and then just to make the consistency a little bit more pourable, I added just a little bit of whole milk. So this is, and I just mixed it together.
Confectioner sugar, we're talking icing sugar here, I think.
Is it icing?
It's really powdery.
You just drizzle. And you can, if you want it a little red, I like it.
That would be lovely over ice cream, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be so good.
Or over a bitter chocolate ice cream.
Oh, it would be so good. It's perfect because it's not too sweet. And that's the consistency that I think is really nice because it's pourable, because you don't want it to be so thin. It runs right off the scones. You want it to be a little thicker so it kind of adheres. And then I can put this down so I can show you.
I congratulate you on the fact that you haven't suggested putting it into a cocktail.
Because you know me, it's all about the cocktail. What I like to do is, you crack me up. All right. So I like to do is so they're on the cooling rack. I let them cool for about 5 minutes and then put a piece of parchment to catch any little drips underneath.
Okay.
And then you can also put this in. I'll show you what I love. I love these. And these are really inexpensive, these little squeeze bottles. Yep. You can also put the glaze in here. I'm not going to because it's got my olive oil, but you could also do that. You could put it in a piping bag if you wanted to be super fancy. But honestly, I usually just do this.
Good old spoon.
And then just.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, you put as little as you want. You can go back and put a little bit more. You could also even put crushed up hazelnuts into the dough, would be really good.
Or pistachios.
Pistachios would be amazing. And then this is
yum.
And then it just,
Well done, Lisa.
Back up again.
I think that's a winner.
It's so good. Here, shall I take a little bite on screen, on camera?
You want me to talk now, though, don't you? Because we don't want to pebble dash the camera with scone. That's really actually quite cruel. Thank you.
Sorry. They're light, and the cardamom and the vanilla, they play so well together. They really do, because the cardamom is that wonderful kind of warm spice, so it prevents the scone from being overly like sugary sweet. And it plays really well with vanilla because you kind of got that little vanilla flavor that kind of comes in at the end. So cardamom greets you and cardamom's like, hey. And then the vanilla kind of slides on in at the end and says, well, hello, I'm here as well. Yeah.
So,
And that's my spoon recipe with the glaze. Like just there's care that's been put into these products and it makes your food taste better. It really does.
they do it because they're passionate about flavor and food and feeding people. They love quality, and that really comes across with the saffron we've done, the tea we've done, and the Manuka honey. I think all of them speak volumes. They are just really impeccable quality products. Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna go eat some scones. You have Cranachan to eat.
Almost.
Almost. How do you say it again?
Cranachan. It's like there's two C's in it, but there's not. Cranachan.
Cranachan. All right.
Yeah, it's only because I'm Welsh. I'm very good at
Now we've turned everybody off. So before you guys
join the party, everybody. Let's have a good old together.
practice your
It sounds like radio interference. They'll be going, what's wrong with this computer?
Don't scroll away. Don't forget, what's our little jingle? Don't forget to like and subscribe below. All the information is below, the recipes, the link to Love from New Zealand, the link to our blogs, which talks even more about the products and the recipes. And this has, as always, been crazy good times. So thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Next Friday for Foodie Friday.
Foodie Friday.
Toodles. Cheers.